the fact that it was said that Indiana fans saying racial things towards Angel Reese. She's the fastest to 500 and 500 of any WNBA player. So how bad is she? As much as that market is going to support the WNBA, they've got it. But dude, that's such a small number. I'm the growth. I'm the people they need to come to the games and buy tickets. Doesn't end well unless it ends. Can't just report the fucking obvious. Just a motherfucking jump. Just go. Let's fucking go. This is the Outlaw Apostle Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Neff. I'm the fucking guy and the other fucking guy in the room. Also looking pretty ready today. It's Chase. Chase, how are you, man?
I'm doing pretty good, man. You know, nice little weekend and now to come start the week all over again, get the work going, you know?
They just run one right into another for me. That's exactly what it is. And it's all good. It's all good. A lot of stuff this week. I just came across this story, and I got to start with it. It's absolutely crazy. And it's simply... It's not an important story. Mm-hmm. It's just the fact that it has to do with farting. Okay. And I'm a dude, and I think farting is funny, like most guys do. When we get older, we still think farting is funny as we did when we were 12. That doesn't change. So I just don't know how this is possible, but this is, I've never heard of this before. A woman, this is a real story. A woman says she suffered a 7-year infection after an ex-boyfriend did a disgusting thing to her. He farted. She got a 7-year infection. A woman alleged in a viral social media video that she struggled with a 7-year respiratory infection after her then boyfriend farted in her face. Reported by the New York Post.
They're running out of things to report.
I don't know, dude. The woman, identified as Christine Connell, said in a TikTok video that's now no longer available, that doctors were baffled by the persistent infection, finally discovered an unlikely culprit was fecal bacterium. She had shit dust stuck in her nose.
For 7 years. That's crazy.
But I just got to say shit dust, and that was, see, that's why shit's funny to talk about. I love it when I can amuse myself. Yes, after culturing samples from her nose, according to the outlet, the video is no longer available. How does that get in your sinuses unless you have a boyfriend who farts disgustingly and you are forced to inhale it because you are immobile after ankle surgery? Connell reportedly asked. Later said that she and her ex-boyfriend were in a hotel room while she was recovering from surgery, and she was in bed, and he was standing naked and turned his ass towards her and farted. That is when the fart happened. I've never, ever smelled anything that compares to that. I don't know. I probably had a few. Come on now. Connell further said that the discharge was accidental. He was getting into bed and my face happened to be in the path of the fart that was released. Also, when I say it was the worst fart that I have ever smelled in my life, I truly mean that. She's not that old. She's got plenty of time to smell worse farts. That just, I've never. So, some E. coli infections resist antibiotic treatment, according to CDC. She said that antibiotics were ineffective in her case, and surgery would be the next option. General anesthesia to go up there and physically scrape off where the bacteria has been. So the shit dust is stuck in her nose, apparently, for 7 years. And that's the end of the story.
Yeah, I honestly didn't even know that was a thing, to be honest with you. That's
No, it can't be a thing, dude.
I was like, that sounds a little weird for 7 years.
Doesn't that sound pretty weird?
That's a little too much time. Maybe like a year.
I don't
I
know.
could be like, okay, a year. You know,
I'll give
something
you
develops.
7 days,
Yeah,
dude.
like,
Come
year's
on.
crazy. Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah, I used to share stupid stories on my radio show. So, like, we called it Dumbass News.
Mhm.
And now a bunch of people do versions of that or have been for years. But, yeah, it was a very popular segment. Dumbasses. And that story would have made Dumbass News.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. If that doesn't qualify, I don't know what does. So these WNBA games we're going to,
Mhm.
they're getting pretty exciting.
Okay.
I mean, the team is good, and we just lost by 1 point to one of the better teams in the WNBA, and we're without 2 of our best players. And we've been without one of our best players the whole season so far and competed and done really well. The
Okay.
Phoenix Mercury have done really well. But they do have 2 losses now. That puts it 2 losses. And both games they could have won. And especially this one, even though we were losing by double digits, we came back nice
Mhm.
and just couldn't finish it at the very end. We were not making any threes. I think they made 2 threes the whole game. But there were other things that were working that they should have kept doing and just didn't. But it's been exciting for sure. It's been really exciting. And the other team was supposed to be without their best player, but she actually did play. So, yeah, there's that. And the fact that I bet on that game. We were dogs, man. We're playing good. So I took the dog. It didn't work. It's okay. I'm going to keep rooting for them. We are having a good time at the games, though. And even watching, some of the games on TV now, especially the Fever games. We're picking those up and recording those. And same thing for the Fever, with Caitlin Clark being out for 4 games at least with an injury. And she's never missed in her rookie year or even back in college. She never missed a game. So this is kind of rare for her. But they are a solid team. But they're just missing that little element she's yeah.
It's a pretty
That's
big
all
part
the
of
difference.
team.
Yeah, but I thought they could compete against where we were down 2 of our 3 top players
Mhm.
and we lost by 1 to one of the best teams.
Yeah,
The
but-
Fever were playing the worst team of the season. They hadn't won a game yet. They were 0-5 and lost to them. That's not good.
Because they didn't have a Caitlyn? Or did they have Caitlyn?
No, they didn't have Caitlin.
I mean, Caitlin's a pretty.
Yeah, but you
pretty big
still
team.
should be, if you're planning on making a run to the playoffs, you have to be good enough to beat the worst team without your best player.
I mean, you're correct, but I think Caitlyn is pretty much the entire team. I think without Caitlyn, they don't go anywhere near as good.
No, I absolutely,
Nowhere near
I
as good.
absolutely believe that.
Yeah.
I absolutely
No,
believe
I
that.
definitely that
Yeah.
team. Although I agree with your statement, I believe that they might not have the capability to do so. I
Yeah.
think Caitlyn is a one
For
man
sure.
person. I mean, obviously she has people.
She
to pass
makes a
around the
huge
ball, but
difference.
It's a massive difference.
Well, because there's nobody on the team that can deliver the ball in the passing lanes and stuff like she can. She
Oh, yeah.
can. She makes
does it all.
She makes dude passes. Honestly, she makes NBA caliber passes.
Oh, yeah.
They are off the charts good and feeding Aaliyah Boston. And, that's when Boston is at her best. And there was a lot of pressure on her, for that game. So we'll see. This certainly this time off, that they don't want to lose too many.
No,
They don't want to
no, they're
lose.
not.
You got to hope, and like I said, that you maybe hope to like go 500 when she's not on
When
the
she's not
court,
there,
and now you just lost to the worst team so far. That's not
looking so hot. No,
that's not looking so hot. So we'll see how that goes. So there was more controversy than what we alluded to, because of, we talked for a short little bit about the foul, the Caitlin Clark foul.
Okay, yeah.
And that it was a good foul. Like, it was legit. That's like what you want to do in a game. If you want to stop one of the other team's best players from scoring, if you're going to foul them, make it so that they're not going to be able to complete the basket and get an and one. And it happened to be a little bit of a hard foul. It was not, anything that was, trying to hurt another player or anything. It wasn't malicious in any way. And then there also is video out now of Griner, who used to play for Phoenix, mouthing something like, fucking white girl about Caitlin Clark.
Okay.
And that they've been talking about. But, after I didn't, I think it was probably after we had already talked about it, that I guess I didn't think it was that big a deal, but it became a big deal that the WNBA investigated after the game between Chicago and Indiana, the fact that it was said that Indiana fans were saying racial things towards Angel Reese. So they did an investigation. What turns out, it was a lie. That didn't happen. She didn't mention anything about it during the game to anybody. Nobody else on the bench heard anything. She didn't tell anybody on the bench. They interviewed people around in that area. Like, literally, it didn't happen.
Okay.
And a number of people, several people on ESPN, one has come out and apologized. They just believed it right off the bat. It must be true. Instead of waiting, but believed it to be true, and attacking Caitlin Clark fans, which is, there's this whole, there is a little bit of this racial thing continuing on in this year from last year between, since Caitlin Clark has come into the league, and then also with Angel Reese and the competition between the two. Now, I think the competition between the two is absolutely, and the rivalry is absolutely good for the women's game. Absolutely good for the women's game. And hopefully here in the pretty near future, we're going to be doing an interview of one of the executives from the Phoenix Mercury, and have somebody on the program, and maybe we can talk about, some of these things in the marketing of the WNBA, because I have some thoughts on that. Okay. Like some serious thoughts on that, because it is obviously dominated by the LGBT community. And all of their marketing is dominated that way. Well, guess what? After 27 years, they've reached their capacity. They've got that market. As much as that market is going to support the WNBA, they've got it. Mm-hmm. And I had always wondered about that. And I think I even mentioned that, well, you know what? You want them to do well, come and support them, show up to the games. They do. But dude, that's such a small number. That's like, let me maybe compare it to rap music a little bit.
Okay.
Black rappers make a shit ton more money because of white kids. They just do. If it wasn't appealing to white kids, they would not make anywhere near the money that they make. There wouldn't be enough. The support would be cut by 60%, right? It's a big market. And they're not dumb. They want white kids listening to their music. I don't think they do anything to discourage that in any way.
Yes and no. I mean,
all right, fire back.
I mean, I'm definitely no expert or whatever, but from what I've seen, because it kind of depends on the type of rapper you're kind of going for, because I don't know, rap nowadays is much different than it was back then.
Yeah,
it was a lot more of a culture thing back when rap was kind of starting off. To my knowledge, it wasn't like white people weren't like involved. And obviously, if you were poor, or like you have like Eminem's situation where it's more, again, like you say, it was more necessarily about like your income than it was about your race. Because everything about rap and stuff like that was more about like coming out of the slums and being better and stuff like that. So I don't think it necessarily had anything to do with black and white, but black people of color tended to be a lot more poorer. So that's why the demographics of rap and stuff like that were more circulated around African American.
well, that's why you had more black rappers. But again, they were appealing also to a white.
The reason
I
black
mean,
rappers,
like I carried around cardboard. I was a white kid carrying around cardboard.
no,
to
yeah, for
dance,
sure.
you
I'm
know
not
what I
saying
mean?
I'm not saying white people weren't involved in like rap and stuff like that. I'm just saying the main demographic of stuff like that was
Initially
steered towards, but now it's very skewed. Like everything's very different now. It's like, because like I don't know, even like in America, like everything is like you have so many different races, so many different cultures and stuff like that. Like it's more of like a like it's more of an income appeal nowadays than it is.
Yeah.
And now but it's so different now because everything's like, it's the culture nowadays here in America. Like the rap, the hip hop, like it became America's culture.
Yeah,
basically.
but my point is, it didn't exclude white people.
Yes and no, like I said. Like it's a weird kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where at first
We'll just have to-
it was, because there's a lot of like in the history of like music and stuff like that. That was a big like that was a big thing, right? Like it was like, oh, you're white, you're not supposed to rap. You're not, like the same way where they're like, oh, white man.
Well,
can't
again,
jump
I'm
and stuff
talking
like that.
about the people who are buying the music.
Oh, just buying.
I'm talking about the market of buying the music, not
I mean,
not who's
yeah.
doing it. Like I'm just saying, if white young men did not buy that music, they would not make as much money.
I mean, yeah, I mean that's I mean
It's that. Well, the WNBA isn't really even acknowledging or trying to expand their audience.
I think
Their audience is really focused on the LGBT community. And if you and now we've had an influx because of Caitlin Clark last year of people like me. But they're not trying to market to people like me, really. Caitlin brought us in. And if they want to make money, if they want to get bigger, if they want to grow the league, if they want to make it more profitable, okay, if you've already got the LGBT community already supporting you, well, the growth is outside of that community. I'm the growth. I'm the people they need to come to the games and buy tickets.
Yes, but the thing is about watching, like, it's gonna sound crazy, but watching women play basketball compared to watching men play basketball is completely different. Like, it's a completely different sport. It's a different, like, it's like the only reason the NBA or the WNBA has got so much traction is because people have been making fun of the WNBA for some. I don't know what you see on your end, but like on my end, from what I see, like the number one thing I've been seeing recently is people are betting it to see whether or not Angel Reese misses her first shot. Like that's the most popular thing right now. Like it has nothing to do with the actual game itself.
I understand people attacking that, but I'm also a girl dad.
Yeah, no,
you know
I get
what
that.
I mean?
I get
Like,
that.
so-
I get that. But it's just like one of those things. Like it's like American culture. I personally don't see the WNBA growing much more than it will. Will it grow a little bit more? Yes. Will it get to the point?
Okay, but how can it grow at all if you don't even try? If you're not even directing your market at other people like that? That's kind of my point. Is they're not even directing their market towards people like me, trying to pull us in. It's all this focus when we don't care about the people like me, or we don't care about that focus. It doesn't matter. I give two fucks if the chick on the court looks like a dude or, has dude-like tendencies or is gay. I don't give a fuck. I'm there for the sport itself and the game and to have a good.
But that's my point.
Good time.
Is that watching WNBA games are nowhere near as exciting as watching an NBA game.
You know what? I'm gonna take you. We're gonna go. You're gonna come with me because
that's for sure. But
dude, like it is different than the men's game. Obviously,
Yeah.
you know, there's some differences, but there is a lot of similarities. And once you get into the flow and it's the competition between the women, it's not a competition between women versus men. That is the competition good? Is the fight still there? Is the heart still there? Is somebody, you know, the 3-pointer is so important in both games now.
Mhm.
But the big thing is the chicks that can do what Caitlin does now, which they call the logo 3, being back. I mean, her 3 is, because I'm pretty positive there is a little bit of a difference distance-wise between the women's.
The court is different.
The women's 3 and the men's 3.
Correct.
Well, the logo 3, they're basically doing, you know, a men's 3 or better.
Yes, but that's one.
But it's the competition that's fun. You get
but the
caught
co-
up in the competition,
But the competition, personally, the competition is just not. It's not enjoyable to watch. Like, it really isn't. It's like
Dude,
watching a soccer game.
That's why
been,
you have to go. It's always better when you're there.
I mean, atmosphere is always going to be better, but like we're talking about the masses, right? The majority of people are going to be
Right,
watching online
and
or
I
on
get
TV
that.
and
But
stuff
I'm not
like
saying
that.
it's going to come close to the NBA
I
or
don't think
anything like
anywhere
that.
near. I think people are going to enjoy
it can't-
tennis more than
but-
basketball.
But it can be better than what it is. But it's not going to be if you don't market to people like
But
me.
the issue is that you need more players like Caitlin Clark. That's the biggest
Okay,
issue.
well, you got Paige that came into the league this year with Dallas. You got Sophie Cunningham, who joined the Fever, who came from Phoenix, that people really like too, because she's also attractive. Like,
See,
you know what I'm saying?
And that's the thing about women's sports.
Not like
compared to
in men's,
sports.
nobody
Like,
gives a shit if they're attractive or not.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like that's I feel like one of the issues, right? Is like because a lot of women's sports, like you're only going to watch them. A majority of people are really only going to watch them because they're good looking, right? Like that's why a lot of men like watching volleyball.
Well, of course,
because they're very. It's not because of the competition.
no,
of
because
volleyball.
we're sexist pigs.
Like it's just like I mean,
Of course, that's what we're.
That's why like the quality in basketball and again maybe I'm just not that into WNBA to care, but the quality.
But I didn't watch it enough to even know before.
So let me put it in this perspective, right? Like the NBA, right? How like yes, their numbers have like plummeted basically, but even them with their numbers plummeting, it's still as a fan of basketball, like it was like probably one of my first sports that I like really got into. Like it's like even the NBA isn't very exciting to watch nowadays, it seems like. So like now that they had the explosion of the playoffs, or you come back for maybe a month and a half where you're watching it, but what about the other 11 months, right? Like although you can get 1 month of excitement, yeah, I'm sure like maybe the WNBA will have here and there.
Here's what happens, you know, because it is about the players.
100%.
100% about the players. And what happens is, and it's both true in men's and women's, but what happens is they had a really cool Netflix a couple of years ago that they did that featured Anthony Edwards.
Okay.
And a few other basketball players and followed the year, right? And I didn't know that much about Edwards until then.
Okay.
Well, that really drew me in last year, and then this year, you know, following him. And man, when that kid is on, he is on, and he's fun to watch, and he's just. So then, yeah, I'm not going to get season tickets. I'm not going to buy 40 games of tickets, you know, for the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah.
But I might start out, I might do a 10-game package now. They do a quarter season. They do a half season package and a quarter season package. I might do the quarter season package this coming year. But then I want games where Minnesota's coming to town. Or if I don't even get season tickets, if, you know, the time that you're talking about where basketball isn't as big a deal, where not that many people are paying attention because we're all watching football, I totally get that because that's us. We're huge football people first, more than anything else. But now that I'm kind of back into it, I'm going to check during the regular season. That's not as important. There are games I'm going to want to see based on who's coming to town, based on the other players. And that draws you in. And the more you get into it, it just builds from there. But it's got to start from the players. And they do just have that now with Caitlin, but they need to build on that with Caitlin.
That's the thing is I really don't know. I don't pay attention too much about like women's college basketball. So
I didn't either until Caitlin Clark, her junior year. That's when most of us became,
I don't know if this is me just being, I just, from my experiences, WNBA just doesn't have the talent to be what it could be. Even if they market it right, even if they did everything perfectly fine, I just don't think the talent is there in as a whole. Yeah, maybe they have one or two good players, but like you compare that to the NBA where everyone is good. Like we're at the point where everyone, like we have high caliber players, but everyone has to be good to be an NBA player. So that's why it's more competitive. It's more fun to watch. WNBA, you have one good person in pretty much the entire conference.
You've been listening to the Outlaw Apostle Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Neff. I'm the fucking guy, and I'm the fucking guy that needs you to hit that subscribe button, that share button, that like button. Thank you very much. God bless. Have a great week. I'm telling you, there's more good. I didn't know about Sabali. And she was good prior to coming to Phoenix, but I didn't know how good she was. And we have her now. We have Alyssa Thomas. And I didn't know how good she was until she got here. Because last year was my first year paying any attention to the WNBA at all because of Clark. But now I'm learning about the different players. And, they're not as deep. But, everybody has at least one. But some teams are 3 deep or more, or like what you're saying to your point, I totally agree with on the depth. But I think what they're also starting to do now, and they need to grow. They need the viewership. They need people like me so that they can pay better, so that they can bring some of these foreign players over as well. So we have a player from Latvia. Her name is Laxa. And I think she's a really super solid contributor. She's not in our starting 5 yet, but she plays like a foreign basketball player. If you get what I'm saying about that, because there's
extra bit of
the certain style that they play defense. They run a set offense. They're moving without the ball. They're doing good traditional basketball things and bringing quality people in like that, which they need to do. But, you have to have the money to do that as well. And they don't have the money because the audience isn't big enough yet. Now they have a chance to grow the audience. Now is their chance to be bigger than just, I'm not saying don't take anything away from the LGBT community. But I'm not trying to take anything away from them. I'm just saying their focus needs to be bigger than that, than just that,
I get what you're
because
saying.
that almost was their sole fan base.
I completely agree with you. I just don't believe they'll have because let's take a step back, right?
Right.
Because there's what are the bigger sports? Like because there's so many different because then you have to take that into consideration, right?
Yeah, but look at the difference in just a year Caitlin's made.
For sure. No, 100%. For sure. But how long is that spike gonna last, right? Like
she's a second-year player. She's got 15 years to play.
For sure, but let's take for instance, like I don't know. I don't know if this is a me thing, but like how long are we gonna be on the Caitlin Clark thing before it gets good?
Good question. Because it's then we're getting into like another comparison we could make is soccer. And, soccer is the most popular sport in the world and not even close to being the most popular sport in the United States. And we made advancements here in the United States. It's gotten bigger.
Towards soccer? Because they saw the money.
Yeah, but again, people like me, we're not into.
So like the caliber between like Americans are paying attention more to soccer, but but in the big picture of thing, like from the number of people watching soccer, that barely made a budge on it, So like it's the
No,
same.
but I'm talking about just comparing it just here, not worldwide.
Gotcha.
I'm just using the
Just America.
comparison
Okay.
here because that's just here. But it has made some inroads, and they've done that by bringing
In all the old
players that were
yeah.
at the end of their careers
exactly.
who would still kill the people that we have and the quality of players that we have here.
For sure.
And that's helped. You know what also helped is is girls, because our men's United States soccer team has never done shit for the most part.
Not very well.
Okay,
no.
they just haven't delivered.
Yeah.
And on the world stage, that the World Cup, if the men could ever do something,
But
people would
then we
help.
have to
Now, I'm not saying all the people that watch that would stay and watch other things, but you would have some leftovers.
I feel like the only reason that is because America is so prideful. Is like, oh yeah, we won something kind of thing. Because as soon as the next season,
I get that.
Actually, I'm gonna look that up.
But
because I wonder how much of a drop it was after the 8 year. Because I remember there was a lot of controversy. A lot of people started hating a lot of the star players on that team.
On which team?
On the women's U.S. team, because they started.
Well, that was this last time. But prior to that, from the time my daughter was young until this most recent team that just became an anti-American. I mean, we don't want to root for men or women who are anti-American.
Yeah.
And we didn't like that. But what was that related to? It wasn't race. It was the LGBT community. It was related in those players and making comments and stuff and just disparaging the United States.
It was a lot of money.
But prior to that, it was the women who brought people to the sport, and it brought, my daughter to the sport and like, okay, as a parent, you want to do whatever your kid wants to do.
For sure.
So whatever she wanted sport, she tried t-ball, didn't really like it. She was bored. She tried gymnastics, and then she got into soccer, loved soccer. When she was in junior high, she wanted to play basketball. Even though she was playing soccer year-round, she wanted to play junior high school, sports or basketball with her friends.
Yeah.
And we said, fine, do it.
Yeah.
She wasn't a great basketball. She wasn't a great shooter. But defensive-wise, because she was such a good defender in soccer, like, she could shut down any basketball player because she was on him like glue, dude. It's the same guarding somebody as guarding somebody. You know what I mean?
And any sport,
and being able to run up and down the court, that's all my daughter ever did for years and years and years was run nonstop every day. So, but that brought me into the sport that I wasn't in our community. Like, we had zero soccer as a kid, like zero.
Yeah.
And other communities had it. But we didn't. But it brought me in, and then I created a club, and then we got it as a varsity sport.
Yeah.
And I pay attention now a little bit because of that, because of her, and because it brought me in. And the women's. I got into watching the women's, USA team, and not just during the World Cup, during the Olympics, or, other even games that they would feature, because it was a cool team back then. For about, 8 years, it was a good team.
But that was the thing, right? It's only when they were on a big stage, the Olympics or like the World Cup.
But that
or something.
exposes people to it, though.
For sure. But I'm just saying that I don't believe, like, they were going back to the WNBA, right? Like, although yes, maybe when there's a playoff or like that rival game between Caitlin and Reese. Yeah,
exactly.
I'm sure those numbers will go up. But as the majority, because how many games are in a WNBA game season?
I believe it's 42 now.
42 games. So if people are watching 2 out of 42
40.
games, like how much are you really gonna like? I get what you're saying. I get that you need those eyes, but I just don't think that, or at least at this point in time, I don't think the WNBA has the talent to even.
They have the opportunity. They need both.
I think with just having because that's the thing. Everything nowadays is clips. Everything, you go on TikTok, you go on Facebook, you go on Twitter, right? If you are able to have, and because the only thing I see about the WNBA is, like I say,
I know. So I want to address that, because some dumb things have been said. on both sides by both groups of fans, by Angel Reese fans and by Caitlin Clark fans.
Yeah.
Because you know me, I race has no place in this shit for me. No place at all.
For sure. But
And I don't want to see either side bringing that up. But people want to trash on Angel Reese and about, like you said, okay. But is she that bad?
She's
Okay,
Okay,
no,
but- okay,
let me
okay.
just give me
Go
one
ahead,
second
go ahead,
here.
Go ahead.
500 rebounds and 500 points. She's the fastest to 500 and 500 of any WNBA player. So how bad is she? I know that there are some, dude, but I sat and watched the men totally miss, the backboard and the rim and throw air balls in the playoffs here, dude.
For sure. No, I get that. I totally get that.
And
But
so so that happens in a women's game too. But I've seen it. But yeah, she's the fastest to 500 and 500 of any WNBA player. But like I said,
but that's the thing, right? Because Angel, like, if you said how many rebounds does she had?
500.
500, because she shoots 5 shots and gets all 5 rebounds. So, like, yeah, maybe you got to the rebounds as quick as possible, but that's because she's the biggest girl on that field, and she's the most physical, so she's able to grab that ball and then
I
put it
am
back
taking
up.
you to a game.
Whether or not her quality of game is good, I don't know. That part's iffy. That part's iffy.
Look. What I will say is this:
Wow.
do I think she has overall the same skill level as a Caitlin Clark does? No.
Damn, nowhere near.
No.
Nowhere
No,
near.
but to say she's not a good player, as some people say, no, she is a good
The
player.
only reason she's good is because she's so big. That's the only reason she's so good. She's like a Shaq compared to other
what?
people.
But then you are Shaq. You are big.
But like I don't know. I think for me it's like, although like you shoot a ball 1,000,000 times and 1,000 go in, like, oh yeah, congratulations, you made 1,000 buckets.
We have a big girl. We have a girl named Brown.
Yeah,
she has got back, dude. Like
there's no excitement in someone that just picks up the ball and then puts it back into the rim 6 times in a row. Like where's the excitement in that?
You are not.
Where is the excitement in that?
I'm gonna change
There's
your mind.
no
man.
excitement.
I am going to change your mind.
I like watching Caitlin play. She's smooth with it. She knows how to shoot. She'll drive in. She has different.
I understand, but
what is Angel
but
Reese? She stands under the bucket
but you
all
gotta
game long and does nothing.
You're looking at this. You're looking at this. I'm going to give you an opportunity.
Is he just an inch more?
to look a little bit wider, a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger group of players, and because I've personally experienced it. It's changed my mind.
I'm not saying there's not good players in the WNBA. I'm just saying like the difference between a Caitlin Clark and the next best person is miles. Like there's a big gap between those players. And the only person I find amusing to watch in the WNBA is Caitlin Clark. So unless you find another player that's anywhere near Caitlin Clark's
there is more than her.
I don't know.
She was not the MVP last year. Wilson was.
For sure.
Okay.
But like,
so there's 2. All right.
2 out of how many players?
But I'm just saying there is. But you will like okay. So then we got this new player that just started. Her name is Musa. Dude,
4 for 16 is crazy.
Dude, Musa. Yeah. Check and see what Edwards was in the losses during the playoffs, dude. He was fucking horrible, dude.
Exactly, and he was bad to watch. he wasn't him. Yeah, but he
still threw him up.
But that was just the playoff games, right? That's not the entirety of like what did he average the entire season? Is compared to like a play. Everyone's gonna have a bad game. Everyone's gonna have a bad first. This is an entire season. These are stats for an entire season.
That isn't 4 for 16 is an entire season, man.
No, I was talking about the percentages.
No, but I'm saying, you know what? But she has work to do. I didn't get to finish. She has work to do.
How old is she? I don't even know how old she is.
I don't know, but she's only in her second year, dude.
Okay.
They were both rookies last year.
Yeah. I saw that's the whole reason in the rivalry became was because they were coming up at the same time.
At the same time. Yeah. And they met each other twice during the Final Four. Her junior year, LSU beat Iowa. And then Iowa beat LSU, but it was in the semifinals.
Okay.
And then Iowa lost in the finals
Yes.
again to like South Carolina.
Yeah.
Or whoever.
I actually just watched a little mini documentary about that.
Right. But I'm saying, it took that, but it started in college, you know, and it wasn't the regular season. It was the March Madness for women.
Gotcha.
But there's a lot of people that do that. Like, I don't pay that much attention to college basketball until March Madness. It doesn't mean that, you know, I won't watch my favorite team, which was always the North Carolina Tar Heels for basketball.
Yeah.
Because I was a big Smith fan, who's
Okay, so let me ask you
coach.
this, though. Let me ask
So
you
I
this.
watch Duke.
Because there's one thing of just watching a game and then actually enjoying watching the game, right? Like, because, like, yeah, I've grown up watching a lot of the games of my favorite teams, but they were horrible games. They were horrible, but I sat and watched them because they were my team to support, right?
For sure.
So, like, I don't know how much of it is just watching to support compared to actual enjoyment from watching the sport.
Well, speaking of games, did you see the Phillies game yesterday?
Philadelphia.
The Philadelphia played the Brewers. We were having lunch over at Santan Flat. Okay. And it was insane, dude. It was like 15-0 or something. Like, it got so bad. Well, the Phillies came back in the 9th inning to score like 5-6 runs. Okay, but
they were still down 14.
Dude, it was so bad. You know how bad it was? The backup left fielder was pitching.
Nice, yeah.
That's how bad the game was.
Just rest the
It was so
closers.
funny. People thought like he was trying to walk the guy. I'm like, no. I kept trying to tell the people at the bar, he's not a pitcher. So we finally looked it up. He was a left fielder. I'm like, he's not a pitcher. It's just the. Can you imagine the manager going into the clubhouse or the dugout and saying, any of y'all ever pitch? No, any of you ever pitch in Little League or high school? And most of them probably did.
Yes,
because they you know.
No, that's funny because that's actually one of my favorite things to watch recently. Is there's been a lot of teams that are like getting blown out or whatever, and they'll just. But
the Phillies are one of the best teams.
Yeah, but if you're losing, you're losing.
Like,
I mean, at that point,
it was bad.
You got to rest your closers, you know.
And then later on in the night, our Diamondbacks were getting their asses smoked like 10-0
by LA. Was it LA or the Cubs that they were playing?
Neither.
I might
the
have
Cubs,
seen a different one.
The LA was playing the Yankees.
The
Dodgers were playing the Yankees.
That series has been pretty good.
And the Cubs were playing the Reds, maybe.
Okay.
I think.
So who's handing us
and
a
you know how I know all that?
The sports betting?
Yeah. Because I got killed, dude.
Yeah.
I bet on Detroit. Detroit's the best team in baseball, and they got their asses kicked.
That's the one thing about baseball that I've learned over these past years.
So fucking.
One day you show up and that team is just
fucking frustrated.
Oh man, that's funny as hell.
But yeah, that was hard to swallow because Dawn looked it up because I've told her about this a couple times. That the first baseball game I ever went to, I was 18 years old. Okay, first professional baseball game. And I didn't have a strong allegiance to anyone, just like now. You know, my friends tried to get me to be Indians fans or Tigers fans or whatever, and I rooted for different teams for a minute, but it's not like I'm a Steeler fan. You know what I mean? Nothing on that level. But the first game they took me to was a Cleveland game. It was in August, but they took me there for my birthday, but my birthday was in April.
Gotcha.
My three friends. And you got to remember that, you know, the whole movie about the Indians, you know, the joke, the comedy movie, okay, that was real, dude. Like, that was real. They were that bad.
Yeah.
There really were only 10,000 people in a 60,000 people stadium.
Yeah.
Like, it was horrible. And the game ended up 24-5. And we got kicked out. And we got kicked out because we're 18 years old. And in like the 7th or 8th inning, they're losing, but they're playing music in between the innings or whatever. I don't know. They started playing Surf and Safari.
Okay.
You know? So we stood on the seats surfing, and we got kicked out. And then I wanted to keep my ticket because it was like a souvenir.
Yeah.
This was my first ever game, and the cop told me I could keep my ticket if I wanted to go to jail, and I said no, you can have my ticket. Like, but it's so stupid. Like, just come up and tell us to get the fuck down because you can't have people do that because you fall, you get hurt,
Whatever,
just
blah, blah, blah.
and we'd have gotten down. We weren't like belligerent or anything, but just throw us out when nobody gives it. Like it's 24-5, dude, and it was. Greg Swindell was the pitcher. It was his very first game. I think he pitched for Texas or something in college, and he was supposed to be all that. And then they were playing the Red Sox, and Dennis Oil Can Boyd, who was a great pitcher. It was like just ugly. So that was my first experience at a Major League Baseball game, was just a team getting
destroyed,
crushed, just crushed. Yeah, it was horrible. But yeah, Dawn looked it up to see because I couldn't remember who was pitching for Cleveland. I just gave her initials, and she looked it up and she goes, "You were right." I was right about Oil Can Boyd though, and I was close on the score because it was terrible, just awful. But yeah, the Phillies yesterday, god awful. Like, yeah, anybody ever pitched before? He was throwing like 57 miles an hour. But the pitch, they were not having an easy time with it, though. They popped out. They weren't used to that. It was fucked up for a minute. Yeah, but it was almost like throwing batting practice. You know what I mean?
It was almost like a softball under
oh, my God, dude.
Yeah, I've seen a few teams do it. I know there was, I think Ohtani scored a home run off of one of those pitches. It was someone on the Dodgers, I think.
Yeah, but how about him and Judge hitting the homers in the same inning? That was a big deal.
Judge, man, he's.
But that goes back to what I was saying is, at least for me, I hadn't been into baseball that much.
Yeah.
Over the last few years. What started making me pay more attention was somebody that was a generational talent, which is Ohtani. He's, to me, and I think Judge is great.
He's good.
But Ohtani
much better.
is, that's the kind of player you talk about as being one of the greats of all time.
Yep.
And it doesn't matter if I'm a fan of that team or not.
Yep.
I was a Lakers fan, and I appreciated and respected everything Jordan did and loved everything Jordan did and rooted him on because it was, and to some extent, I did that even a little bit with Tom Brady. I didn't really root for the Patriots or anything, but I was never a Patriot hater, even though I was a Steelers fan. I respected the greatness, even though that Pittsburgh was on the losing end of that a couple of times.
Yeah.
He kept us from a couple of Super Bowls for sure. But I love to be able to see. I'm not somebody that wants to hate or shit on the great players. I won't do that about Patrick Mahomes. I think I that's good. That's fine. But I won't do that. Yeah. I think it's too early, or they brought up it too early about being, him somehow surpassing Brady. Mm-hmm. He's got a ways to go yet.
He's still got plenty of time.
Yeah.
He has plenty of time.
He maybe. We thought Tiger had plenty of time too, and Tiger didn't do it.
But he didn't want to, right? He decided to step away from it. No. Was it an injury or what?
It was all injuries and women.
Oh, you're right. He had that whole lawsuit thing or whatever.
Women, fucked up. Women fucked up his life.
His kid is pretty good though, from what I hear. No,
his kid is amazing. His kid just won a national tournament.
Jesus Christ, that team, that family's stupid talent for no reason.
Yeah.
But I mean, since we're on the sports topic, and
might as well. Let's do it.
Might as well
we're here.
Finish the show with sports. Did you see the World Cup brackets? Oh man, does USA have a good chance of making it?
You think?
Oh yeah. Mexico screwed. The US they have a pretty decent group stage.
That would be good. That would be good for soccer.
Do you plan on going to any World Cup game since they're going to be here in the US?
Are there going to be any here in Phoenix?
No.
Then probably not.
Gotcha. There's but I know you're a traveling man, so there's going to be a lot of different. I feel like, especially like we were talking about, I think the popularity of soccer has blown up here in the U.S.
Yes.
And I think if there is a World Cup to go to be a U.S. supporter, this might be the one to go to because
Where are the finals going to be?
in, I believe, L.A.
So the finals are going to be here?
It's in U.S. Yes, the finals going to be in the U.S.
Yeah, that would be cool. So maybe there's something. I don't know.
No, but I don't know if you've heard anything. You obviously know I'm a really huge soccer fan, and I saw this
Right.
yesterday, and I was looking at the tables, and where did I even go? And I was looking at the U.S.'s chances, and I'm like, you know what? If they decide to actually show up and play soccer, then they might actually like get pretty far. So, I thought I'd bring it up to you because I wasn't sure if that was something that you were.
No, but it is something I would watch.
Mhm.
You know, and did you see what happened last night?
I did not. What happened last night?
And the with Paris team and
PSG and Inter Milan.
Inter Milan.
That's actually my European team is PSG.
Is it?
Yeah.
There we go.
No one heard anything. It's all right.
Yeah, I mean, but after the game, all the destruction and arrests, they arrested like over 300 people.
I did not see. Holy.
What they did after the game is totally unacceptable, and that shouldn't happen anywhere in the world anymore. And I'm so sick of that kind of shit, dude. Yeah. Like really, like why isn't your military out? Why are you not prepared for that to make sure that doesn't happen? Because it was destruction, it was looting. It's not just, dude, celebrate all you want. You cannot allow people to loot and be violent and burn shit down. You can't allow it.
I agree, although unfortunately, that's like one of like a really big like culture thing. In
Why?
soccer.
Why is it a thing that if my team wins, I should go and burn a cop car or anybody's car?
It's just like people are because like, there's a lot of alcohol involved.
But you know, I'm sorry, but I don't care. I don't care.
No,
if there's enough police and military presence there, it won't happen.
Not another.
Crack some fucking heads.
Yeah, but then you're gonna.
Then what?
No,
that is not acceptable. I'm sorry.
I don't disagree.
It's not
with
acceptable.
You. I don't disagree with you.
All right, let's see there.
Yeah,
I guess they do have a good chance of Group A.
This is not.
That's not it?
That's not the one I saw.
Isn't that what it says? The draw.
Yeah, but that's not what I was. I mean, this is 2026, but for some reason, this is not what I was looking at.
Why did it say U.S. was in?
Yeah, I don't know why this is all. And this is ChatGPT too.
Yeah, no, that doesn't even look right. Because it's showing like the U.S. in 3 different places.
What is it?
In Canada.
I believe those are the 3 different games that they're going to be playing. What is the group?
Yeah, but why would they play someone outside their group? Isn't the first round within your group?
Yeah, all 3 games are. It's all groups.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
ChatGPT doesn't want to work with me here. He's like, yeah, we're not going to talk about soccer anymore. No, but yeah, it's like it sucks to say, but it is because I don't know if I'll have to show you a few videos of like in the past, like it's like almost tradition in a way where you're celebrating.
They need to end the tradition.
I agree with you. I think it's very like too much.
This is way too much.
Way too much. I agree.
It's way too much.
But in the world of soccer, that is a very
I know.
very common thing.
No, I know it is in Europe. I mean, I've been there. You know, I've been in the stadium. I've sat with the hooligans.
I do remember.
One day, yeah. So I have that experience. Yeah. But it wasn't a finals. It was, during their playoffs.
Yeah. They'll still find a reason to go crazy.
All right. We're not.
Yeah,
we're
we
not
won't find
finding
it. Yeah, that's all right.
We'll find another
I'll
time.
pull it up to you. I'll
But
pull it up
here-
for you later.
So I started out. We went off into the sports, but part of it was supposed to be the racial shit that I'm just tired of. I'm tired of it politically. I'm tired of the gender shit. And go to my Facebook page there. So I posted this yesterday. Oh, yeah, and Hot Lips died too.
I don't know what
It was
that
a big
is.
deal. MASH was the biggest.
Steve Nash?
No, MASH.
MASH.
It was a television show. And it was the biggest television show in history.
They would play it
like
in Mexico.
the biggest,
Yep.
okay?
Yep.
And Loretta Swit, she was Hot Lips Houlihan.
Gotcha.
She
passed.
died
Gotcha.
yesterday at the age of 87, I believe.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, all I had to do was put that, and everybody my age like
You knew
commented.
what
I
it
knew it
was.
was, yeah. So my post, I'm so sick of the racial and gender shit. Let me make this real clear. Whatever the fuck your race is, if I don't like you, I have a reason or reasons, and not one of them is the fucking color of your skin. Period. Full stop. Call me crazy, but I think that's true for most of us. Not all, most. If your first thought after someone says something negative about you is that it has to do with your ethnicity, you need to do some serious introspection. You're insecure. That's hard to accept. That's hard to acknowledge. I know. Much easier to deflect by calling us racist, especially if we are MAGA. Same shit is true about gender. Not a misogynist, ladies. We are allowed to not like you for reasons other than you being a woman. If I'm not voting for you, I don't like what you stand for. I give two fucks that you're a chick. Not liking a woman, doesn't mean that we don't like women. God bless and enjoy your day. So there are a couple things that prompted this, and several of them were political, that have been going on recently. And one of the things this past week on The View, there was a discussion, and again, they're trying to attract you, Chase. They're trying to attract. They're the young men. The Democrats lost as voters, and they're spending $20 million trying to figure out how to talk to you. Serious, like that's a thing. And on The View, they said, well, they should spend the money on teaching you how to not be sexist. That, the young men not supporting Kamala Harris was just because she was a woman, when that had
a little bit of truth to it.
That's not most people's.
I'm
You're
just
right, but there's not
rallying.
most people's number one reason
No.
that she's a woman.
No.
I have no problem voting for a woman at all, and I've liked a number of Republican women, and I think that in the both sides are going to have a clean slate in 2028, meaning. We're not going to have one side or the other where we have a president trying to get reelected. It's going to be open field on both sides. Now, you might think that Vance has a little bit of an advantage being the vice president. I don't know. He'll certainly compete, and I like what he's doing as vice president, but I also like what Marco Rubio is doing, and I like that we have a number of very, very good, strong women that will be potential, in there too, that are part of the administration now. So, it's going to be a mixed field.
Yeah.
For the Republicans. It's going to be mixed racially, and it's going to be mixed by gender. And I think it'll be that way on both sides. Honestly, I think both sides will have that. It's not a stumbling block. It doesn't keep somebody running. We have more women running for president than ever before, and more people of different ethnic groups running for president than ever before. So, and I think that's going to continue. I got introduced to Vivek Ramaswamy, You know, I like some of the things he had to say. I didn't, I was a Trump supporter, but I did like what he's doing, and I'm glad he's running for governor of Ohio. That's my home state. I hope he wins next year and becomes the governor of Ohio, because Ohio hasn't had a good governor in a long time. We've had rhinos as a governor, and I'm over it, and so are most Republicans back home. But this just been overwhelming. That was one example. The investigation that turned out to be a hoax, and nobody's apologizing except for one woman. Hey, we probably all said some things we shouldn't have said a little too quickly. Kind of like what happened in NASCAR when they thought there was a noose and there wasn't a noose in the garage. And that got blown out of all proportion. Yeah, you have to look it up. NASCAR and noose, and there's one black driver, and in that garage, it's actually, it looks like a noose, but it's actually a rope handle for a garage door, dude.
Was there like a picture that came out or something that people were like? I'll look into it.
Yeah, he thought. Yeah, it was a story. It was a story, but it turned out to be much about nothing. Nobody was trying to send him any messages or anything. I mean, no offense, the guy's not that good of a driver. Okay, nobody cares. Honestly, is what the truth is. Blacks are not excluded even from NASCAR anymore. That's like the number one thing Jordan gives a shit about now. That's like his NASCAR team.
Michael Jordan?
Yeah, Michael Jordan
has a NASCAR team.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Now you do. See all the things you get to learn from hanging out with me. But and then the gender stuff continuing all week long, both in Washington and California. Dudes fucking up girls' high school sports. And, for a number of these girls, it's their senior year. They don't get another chance at this moment. And even though they changed a little bit of the rules in California, is what they did is, let's say they take the top 3 to go on to the state from the different regions.
Okay.
What they did is they said, well, because we had this transgender, we'll take the top 4. That way the girl who would have gotten, excluded doesn't get excluded, because if that dude wasn't there, she would have been included. But guess what happened then when they're in the finals? They all lose to him anyways. So what good is it adding another girl when the chances that she's going to beat the dude is not good? And what happened? Oh, you know what they did too? That was so... people on the left do violent things, like break windshields and do crazy shit. Like, this was a thing this past few days out in California. The people that support the transgender in participating in girls' sports, the people that are pro-protecting women, they rent planes and fly banners above everybody, which is a great protest. You know what I mean?
All this.
Yeah, it's a great protest. I just think it's funny because it's not. It doesn't have to be violent, But where does the violence always comes from? And I'm telling you, the violence 90% of the time comes from the left. The people on the right are not doing that, but people on the right have had enough. Mothers are finally saying have enough, confronting these people and saying, "What are you doing? What are you doing? Be whatever you want to be. You want to be transgender, be fucking transgender. That doesn't mean you get to participate in girls' sports." We have to be able to draw the line there. And I thought we did draw the line there. I thought the president drew the line, but we still have a number of places where they're defying this and not sticking up for our girls. And enough is enough. I'm just sick of all of it, dude. Just like I said, and that's what got me to thinking about the WNBA and the marketing. Even this last game. Do you know what AAPI is? Okay, pull that up. What is AAPI night at the Mercury? But I guess they do this constantly. AAPI. Yeah, you got it. It's there anyways. Our first ever theme night. Isn't it Asia Pacific or like Hawaiian shit or like
Islanders?
Dude. Like I just don't get, what does that have to do with basketball, man?
I mean, nothing, but like
I'm not offended by it. You know what I mean? But it's like, why?
I mean, you just have. I mean, you have like anime nights at NBA. Like most people don't.
Dude, when is White Night?
White Night?
Yeah, when is White Night?
What do you mean? What do you mean? No. You got to understand that
There's every night in celebration except for White, because well, every night is White Night, dumbass. You know, you're like, come on, man, that's just bullshit, dude.
No, it's just you're giving, I don't know, the spotlight to people that don't usually get a spotlight, especially indigenous people. Like I for sure, I can get behind this for sure. Yeah, you might not like it, but for sure, I think there's
I just don't care.
It's just celebrating other cultures, you know, because that's what America's meant to be, right? It's like you're celebrating other cultures.
How about just celebrate, be a fucking American?
Yeah.
I'm just saying, like, I'm not taking anything away from them, but it has nothing to do with basketball.
What does being American have anything to do being doing with basketball? It's just you're celebrating a culture that has, whether it's.
But why do I have to celebrate it during a basketball game?
Don't just ignore it and move on and watch the game.
No, but it's not just that one. It's the accumulation of them all.
Yes, because you people.
All of them except for one.
Because we live in America. Like America is the culture. Like that's
okay.
That's,
all of them except for one,
which is
white.
But
there's no celebration of of European ancestry or whatever you want to call it. There's you celebrate.
America doesn't like that. That's the whole thing. America has tried to, as much as possible, to get away from that European thing. Like we are our own people. Like,
how about we just get away from dividing us all up into groups for everything we go to? When most of us go to a sporting event, we're just trying to have a good time, man.
But I don't think they're trying to divide anyone. I think they're just like.
But you are dividing people when you keep focusing on groups, small groups of people. For what purpose?
To make it more fun, to make it more exciting.
What was more fun?
They get to dress up, put on a show, maybe like dance to different type of music.
Dude, only one of the dudes looked like he was Hawaiian. I'm just
whether or not they do it perfectly is another thing, but like I get what they do.
You want entertainment? You know what the entertainment fun that was funny so far?
What's up?
At the WNBA games? One of the games they had like white-haired old women doing like a dance where there's like 30 of them out there, like grandmas, like grandmas, like nobody under 60. Okay, that was funny.
Was it?
And they were all races, all colors. It was just old grandmas. That was funny. It was fun to watch. That was funny. And they did men. And dude, it's like, but I did think to myself, okay, this is a bad list. This is like we're celebrating the dad bod out there, you know, because they did not look good. But it was funny. There was dad bod night out there. They weren't grandpas. They were dads more than the other one. But that was funny. And it was entertaining. Somebody brings a dog out there to jump through hoops or do stupid shit. That's entertaining. I'm just over the focus on things that I just think it just separates us. And it's not just, I'm not trying to pick on this night. This was just the one we just had. It's the accumulation of keep focusing on somebody for that reason.
So would you prefer just there be no events at all and there's no like involvement of any culture? Because that's the thing is like they're involving cultures. They're opening the cultures to other people, right? Like whether you like it or not is a completely different thing.
I'm not against the culture.
But it sounds like you are.
But I'm not. I'm not against the culture. I'm against the division that it creates currently by focusing on that.
For one night?
Okay, but you know what one night turns into? You know what a parade turns into?
What's
a month.
Okay.
It turns into a month. Yeah, because our whatever is today June, or say the 31st.
Today is June 1st.
Okay, today's June 1st.
What does that mean?
This is Pride Month.
Oh, well, congratulations for them.
But why, dude?
Because
Why do we have to
you don't.
So-
but that's the thing is you don't have to.
Okay, but no. Yes, but if you want to do it, do it.
Yeah.
But when you're creating a national month,
Mhm.
you're forcing it on the country. You're trying to force
but
it
you're
on
not.
other people. Yeah, you are. Because if you just want to celebrate yourself, dude, just be. Why can't gay people just be gay and just be good with being gay? Why do other people have to applaud them for being gay? Oh, great, it's your month now. Yeah, go ahead, man. Man, that is awesome. Like, why do I have to celebrate it?
You don't.
Why does anybody have to celebrate
You
it?
don't. That's the beautiful part of it is you don't. You just go by your day.
Sure it is.
I didn't even know it was the whole Pride
Yeah,
Month
but when
thing.
you go to a game and then that's going to be the theme of different nights and stuff.
Okay,
games
and that's
and-
okay. That's
Okay, then you're making it that. Like,
that-
why?
Why not?
Well, when is Straight People's Month? We don't why do we have to celebrate what anybody wants to do in the bedroom? Just do what you want to do, man. Do you?
I feel like you're hyper focusing on it. Like you can just go about your day. Like I get what you're saying.
I'm
where,
hyper focusing it. That's the whole Democratic Party. That's the point.
Okay, so you're saying because it's a
They hyper focus on these. Like, look at the hyper focus on the transgender issue of transgender girls
Mhm,
or transgender women
mhm.
participating in girls and women's sports. That's hyper focus because you want to talk about the small group.
Yeah.
That's the smallest fucking group on the goddamn planet.
Yeah.
Right?
Mhm.
And it's ridiculous that we're focusing on it. We're tired of focusing on it. But it's taking away from real girls. You do what you want to do, but don't you cross the line when you take a medal away from a real girl
Mhm.
that she can never get back. She can't get that moment back. She can't get that moment where she's standing there,
Yeah.
and that number one spot on there, or that girl that misses out on any medal, the third place medal.
Transgender, I get
Because of that.
I get, but culture, like that's the culture. Like people just celebrate culture. Like it's not that big of a deal.
The only problem is
Yeah,
we leave out one culture.
which is
White people.
Hmm.
There's no white culture night. There's no white culture month. We
Gotcha.
because we're the oppressor. We're the big bad wolf.
Gotcha.
So that's what I'm saying. And we want to get to a point, and that was the whole idea, what we were trying to do when I was growing up, and now we've gone backwards,
Uh-huh.
is that it didn't matter. That I told you, that's how I was raised. I was just raised, it doesn't matter. And anybody who tried to make it matter, you got hammered on. Like, that's not a thing anymore. Don't say that. Don't talk to me like that around. Don't be around me, or you won't be around me if that's who you really are and what you really think.
Mhm.
Like, I have zero tolerance for that shit. But that's how I grew up. That's Gen X. That's most of our generation is like that. And that was the whole idea. I thought that was, maybe I don't understand Martin Luther King. I thought that was the whole idea. It was supposed to be about merit and celebrating somebody doing something great. I don't like when somebody says that, tries to put somebody that does something great, even in a sport that's black, and they create some kind of a record, or, how many Super Bowl quarterbacks have we had? Not that many.
I couldn't tell you.
Because some have been there twice,
Mhm.
but you just take the number of Super Bowls and times it by 2 and subtract a handful, maybe by 10 or whatever, because some of them been to multiple ones, right?
Okay.
Like that. And only 2 go a year.
Mhm.
Only 2 quarterbacks go a year. And then, we tried to break that up with the national championship, having the first time that, in a national championship, you have 2 black coaches. Well, they weren't actually black. They were interracial. And so then if we want to label it, and we label it, when those coaches, they just want to be known as great coaches. They don't want to be known as great black coaches. Mm-hmm. They want to be known as great coaches, period. And I want to celebrate that person being a great coach because he's a great coach, not because of adding his race to it or his gender. Yeah. That's how that's it. That's all I'm saying. That's where I want to get to. Okay. And that doesn't mean, but when they make a focus of it over and over and over again, then it becomes a thing that even the person in the spotlight doesn't want that, because to me, it's demeaning to them, because you're not giving them enough of the credit, because to do what they did is hard to do. It's hard to get there, whatever your race or whatever your color is. And then the same can go for gender or your sexuality or whatever. Same thing. Doesn't matter. I don't give a shit. If you're the best tennis player, if you're best female tennis player and you're gay, who gives a fuck? If you're the best female tennis player and you're heterosexual, who gives a fuck? You're just the best female tennis player. Why does somebody announcing the game have to add the extra in there? It makes nothing to the game. I don't care. We're tired of it. We just don't want to hear about it anymore. We just don't care. Like, nobody's trying to take away anybody's rights now. Nobody's trying to go backwards and get rid of gay marriage. Most conservatives are at the point where we just don't motherfucking care. We just don't care. Just do your thing. Don't worry about it. Just do your thing. And if you do something great, I want to applaud you for doing your great thing, or the thing of service, or the heroic thing you do, or whatever it is. I just want to applaud you for being a fucking good human being. Not you're a good human being that is gay, or a good human being that is whatever. Like, no, just be a good human being. That's it. I don't know. That's what I got. Okay. I'm trying to sort through it still. That's what this all was about. And I like being challenged when you challenge me to do that, so I appreciate that.
No, it's interesting to hear. It's a very complex question, or situation, I should say. So I'd love to sit here and talk, but I kind of have to be somewhere.
We're done. That's it. I know we went a few minutes over what we've been doing, but I did want to kind of wrap that up.
We can continue this some other time.
I'm sure we will. Just the way things are going, I'm sure we will. And join us again on another day, on another podcast. This is the Outlaw Apostle Podcast. I'm your host, Troy Neff. I'm the fucking guy.
Who knew I would make it this far? They hated, they never believe me. Yeah, I would never drop the ball. I know I make it look easy. Yeah, Mayweather with the defense. I don't care what a critic got to say. I got them picking up the pieces. That to me, you really playing with your life.